Anterior view of the skull. Temporal bone. Zygomatic bone. Sphenoid bone. Ethmoid bone. Maxilla. Mandible. Vomer. Inferior nasal concha. Lacrimal bone. Nasal bone. Frontal bone. Glabella. Inferior orbital fissure. Infraorbital foramen. Nasal spine. Mental foramen. Alveolar margin. Perpendicular plate. Superior orbital fissure. Supraorbital foramen or supraorbital notch. Lateral view of the skull. External acoustic meatus. Lambdoid suture. External occipital protuberance. Mastoid process. Styloid process. Zygomatic process. Pterygoid process. Nasal spine. Temporal process. Lacrimal fossa. Squamous suture. Coronal suture. Posterior view of the skull. Parietal bone. Sutural bone. Superior nuchal line. External occipital protuberance. Occipital bone. Temporal bone. Lambdoid suture. Sagittal suture. Posterior-superior view of the bones and structures of the cranial cavity. Lesser wing of the sphenoid bone. Greater wing of the sphenoid bone. Occipital bone. Temporal bone. Sella turcica of the sphenoid bone. Cribriform plate of the ethmoid bone. Crista galli of the ethmoid bone. Frontal bone. Superior orbital fissure. Internal acoustic meatus of the temporal bone. Hypoglossal canal. Foramen magnum. Jugular foramen. Foramen rotundum. Optic canal. Superior view of the cranial openings and cavities. Olfactory foramina. Optic canal. Foramen spinosum. Foramen lacerum. Foramen magnum. Jugular foramen. Carotid canal. Foramen ovale. Inferior view of the skull. Palatine bone. Sphenoid bone. Temporal bone. Mastoid process. Occipital bone. Occipital condyles. Vomer. Zygomatic bone. Maxilla. Mandibular fossa. Foramen spinosum. Foramen lacerum. Foramen magnum. Jugular foramen. Carotid canal. Foramen ovale. Bones of the orbit. Frontal bone. Ethmoid bone. Lacrimal bone. Palatine bone. maxilla, zygomatic, sphenoid bone, hyoid bone, greater horn, lesser horn, body.